On Mother's Day, I didn't get a single message from my daughter. Not even a Happy Mother's Day text. It wasn't until the next morning that she walked into my house carrying an old grease-stained cookbook and a mop. She dropped them onto my kitchen counter like someone tossing out yesterday's paper. "There," she said, shrugging off her coat. "That's your Mother's Day gift. You're retired now, so I figured you could use some practice in the kitchen. Cook us something nice on weekends. Oh, and this new mop? Totally your style." Her voice was light, casual, like it was my life's purpose to serve her. But in my mind, I was still stuck on the photos I'd seen the afternoon before, scrolling through social media. Her mother-in-law, Diana, flashing a sparkling Tiffany necklace. Her stepmother, Linda, posing on a balcony with a little blue box in hand, captioned with heart emojis. I couldn't help the edge in my voice. "Is this a joke?" She rolled her eyes and shrugged. "Do you have any idea how expensive necklaces are these days? If you really want one, you should probably just buy it yourself." Then she leaned in, voice sharp and deliberate. "My mother-in-law gave me a great husband. Linda makes sure I have warm soup waiting when I work late. Who I choose to be good to, that's my business." And just like that, she slammed the door behind her. As if I was supposed to chase her down and apologize. But I didn't. The one who ended up crying was her. 3 days later, she showed up again, teary-eyed, practically begging me for another chance. I frowned and pointed at the worn-out, stained cookbook still lying on the table. "What is this?" Sophie gave a little click of her tongue and offered a breezy explanation. "You forgot already? Yesterday was Mother's Day. I'm your sweet little angel, remember? I couldn't make it then, but I came today with your gift." As if I could forget. The whole day my feed had been flooded with Happy Mother's Day posts. At the office, every woman was getting calls, flowers, unwrapping gifts. And I sat alone waiting from morning to night. Not even a text from Sophie. She must have sensed my lack of enthusiasm. Her expression twitched with embarrassment, but she pressed on anyway. "Okay, so the book's a little old, but I found it at this antique market. It's all handwritten recipes, been passed down for decades. I figured your cooking's kinda plain, so maybe it'll help. And the mop, well, I noticed yours was getting worn." She smiled, that light airy tone still clinging to her words. "You're not getting any younger, you know. It's time to slow down and find a hobby. You could try out these recipes, maybe drop off meals at my place. Give yourself something to do, right?" I stared at her for a long moment. And then when she added, "I'm serious," I realized. She really wasn't joking. That ratty old cookbook and the mop, that was her carefully chosen Mother's Day gift. The truth is, I didn't care what she gave me. Even a hand-drawn card like when she was little, scribbled with a "Mom, I love you," would have stayed on my fridge until the colors faded. But this was different. In silence, I picked up my phone and pulled up the posts from yesterday. Her mother-in-law, Diana, her stepmother, Linda. Same necklace in every shot. A Tiffany piece catching the sunlight. Same captions too. "Thank you to my sweet girl for the thoughtful gift. No present is more precious than her love." Sophie's face went pale. She stared at the screen for several long seconds before muttering, "Forgot to block you." I played dumb. "What was that?" He gave a stiff little laugh. "Mom, why are you always checking other people's posts? Just focus on your own life and be happy." Then, as if she hadn't just exposed herself, she went on with complete self-righteousness. "My mother-in-law doesn't have a daughter. She gave me such a great husband. Of course I want to make her feel like she has one. And Linda, even if she's not my real mom, treats me like I'm her own. She even gave up having kids for me. One night I came home super late and she still made me soup. I still remember that." The more heartfelt she sounded, the deeper the sting of irony settled in my chest. I laughed. A cold, bitter laugh. "So, you bought Tiffany necklaces for them, and for me, your actual mother who raised you, it's an old cookbook and a mop? Don't you think, even just a little, that's wildly unfair?" "I'm your mother," I said, voice steady but lined with disappointment. "Do I not deserve something else?" Sophie's expression shifted instantly. Her tone sharpened. "Why are you always comparing? You're not broke, are you? You could buy that stuff yourself. Why should I have to?" Her voice picked up speed, volume, and venom. "Have you even thought about me? Do you know how much those necklaces cost? Even a cheap one's 5 or 6 grand. Since when did you start caring so much about money? Would you be happy if I drained every cent I have for you?" She sprang up, grabbed her bag and stormed toward the door. But just before stepping out she whipped around. No wonder Dad said you're impossible. I tried to do something nice and all you do is complain. I never should have come. Other moms would kill to save money for their kids. But you. All you care about is jewelry. All you care about is yourself. No wonder Dad left. No wonder you're alone. Her face had gone pale, her voice pitched so high it nearly cracked. But I didn't get angry. I was stunned. Speechless. To her, I was just some washed-up woman a man had dumped. A failure. But she knew better. He was 10 when it happened. We were still living under the same roof. He saw it all. Richard had cheated, again, and I'd had enough. I could have stayed for the sake of giving her a whole family, but I didn't. I knew my boundaries. I wasn't going to betray myself just to maintain a lie. She knew exactly why we divorced. And today she chose to twist it, use it to humiliate me. After the split, she chose to live with Richard. I didn't fight her on it. The agreement said I owed no child support, but I still paid for her tuition, her clothes, her summer camps, phones, handbags, driving lessons. Everything. When she got married, I gave her 20 grand for a car. Every birthday, every holiday, I sent extra money, even when she stopped answering my calls. No, I didn't need some fancy bracelet. But in that moment, I felt humiliated. She said she was busy yesterday, but I'd seen the brunch photos with Linda, the cake-cutting selfies with Diana. She had time for them. But not even a text for me? She claimed jewelry was too expensive, but her own closet was full of $1,000 bags and new accessories. It wasn't about the money. She just didn't think I was worth it. Where did I go wrong to make her believe that her mother-in-law's childbirth or her stepmother's midnight soup meant more than a decade of unconditional love? But before I could speak, Sophie was gone, storming out again. And I knew her. This was the part where she expected me to chase after her, apologize, send a text begging to make peace. But this time I didn't. For the first time, it hit me with piercing clarity. My daughter had never really seen me as her mother. A full week passed. I didn't call. I didn't text. Until one night the doorbell rang. I opened it to find Sophie standing beside Eric. Eric had that syrupy sweet smile he always wore. He stepped inside and pulled me gently toward the kitchen. "Anna, did you two get into a fight or something?" he asked in a hushed voice. "She's been down all week and begged me to bring her so she could apologize." Then after a slight pause his eyes flicked away and he added, "Also, things are a little tight at my company. Just wondering if that friend of yours, the one who helps with loan guarantees, might still be open to that." But there was the real reason behind all this sudden warmth. He wasn't here for me. He was here for the money. Even though I was heartbroken over Sophie, it wasn't bad enough for me to cut her off. So I gave a small nod. "I understand." I glanced over at Sophie. Her lips were pursed, arms crossed, clearly unhappy, but there was a flicker of guilt in her eyes. She was my only child. I had spoiled her. And despite everything, some small part of me wanted to forgive her. Sensing my hesitation, Eric jumped in. "Come on, Mom, don't be upset. Sophie told me she regrets how the gift thing went down. She even said she wants to make it up to you, with something double this time." I sighed, about to say something, until Sophie cut in sharply. "What are you talking about?" she snapped. "Wasn't she the one who was supposed to apologize to me? Since when am I the one buying more gifts?" She turned toward me, voice cold and hard. "Double? Seriously? She doesn't deserve it. And let's not forget I was raised by Dad. She never paid a dime to raise me. I don't owe her a damn thing." Then she stepped forward, finger nearly jabbing at my face. "Don't you dare guilt trip me. I'm telling you now, never gonna happen. Figure out who's wrong first. Then we can talk about forgiveness." And with that she grabbed Eric's hand and stormed toward the door. But they didn't leave right away. They started arguing on my porch. I stood inside, unable to help myself. I crept toward the door. Sophie's voice was loud, annoyed. "Why are you sucking up to her? Why not save that energy for Linda or my dad?" Eric sighed. "Come on, babe, don't take it like that. I'm doing this for us, for our future. She's got money. You're her only kid. If we cut ties now, we're the ones who lose. Think about it. Buy her a $5,000 necklace, and she might give you a 15 grand watch in return. You really don't see the math?" Sophie scoffed. "You think I don't get it? Of course I do. She doesn't have anyone else. Who else would she leave it all to? I don't have to kiss up to her. She'll still give me things. If you hadn't dragged me here, she probably would have texted me tomorrow to apologize. Maybe even with a gift. I couldn't see her face. But her voice rang with absolute confidence, like she had the whole world in her pocket. Eric let out a short, uneasy laugh. Still, she's your mom. But Eric's words hadn't come from guilt or affection. They came from desperation. His company was in trouble. The cash flow had dried up. He was sitting on a loan he couldn't cover, searching desperately for someone, anyone, who could co-sign. And that's why he came to me. From what I overheard, it was clear Sophie had no idea. She's always been like that, Sophie scoffed. I once gave her a bunch of clearance carnations for Mother's Day and she kept them in a vase for 2 weeks like they were the crown jewels. And now I give her a cookbook and a mop and suddenly I'm some ungrateful monster. Honestly, what more does she want? That was it. I'd heard enough. I yanked the door open. The loud creak made them both jump. Sophie's face went pale for a second before twisting into a defensive scowl. Were you eavesdropping? She snapped. Seriously? Are you that bored? Eric grabbed her arm, trying to defuse the situation. But it was too late. Realizing how harsh her words had been, Sophie tried to smooth it over, feigning grace. Okay, fine. I forgive you. Next Mother's Day I'll be more fair. Happy now. You forgive me? I blinked and then laughed. A raw, hollow laugh that came from somewhere deep in my chest. Her face stiffened. The smugness drained, replaced by a flash of fury. What the hell are you laughing at? Didn't you open the door because you wanted to make up? What's this act for? Want me to get down on my knees or something? I hadn't even remembered why I opened the door in the first place. I bent down, grabbed the garbage bag near the doorway and tossed it straight into her arms. No. I was just coming out to remind you not to forget your culinary masterpiece. You're right, the court did give custody to your father. Legally speaking, there's nothing binding between us. You've got 2 moms now. Don't bother faking sentiment with me. It was the first time I'd ever spoken to her like that. Sophie's face went beet red. She was shaking with rage. Wow. That's who you are. You'd cut your own daughter off over a gift. Fine. You said it. From this moment on, I'm not your daughter and you're not my mother. You go your way, I go mine. But I didn't flinch. Instead, I calmly picked up my phone, dialed a number right in front of them. Hi, Mr. Lewis. It's me. About that loan we discussed. I've thought it over. I did a bit of background on Eric's company. The risk is too high. I'm sorry, but I can't put my retirement on the line. Sophie whipped her head toward Eric. Your company? What happened? Why didn't you tell me? Eric looked like he'd been struck by lightning. His face went white. I was going to tell you, once things stabilized a bit. Sophie didn't wait for more. Her hand came down fast. A sharp slap across his face. I told you only smart investments. You couldn't make a decision to save your life. Expansion? Who the hell do you think you are? But it was already too late. Then she turned back toward me, slipping into a tone she thought might work. That syrupy, familiar voice. Mom, don't be like this. I'm your only daughter. If you won't help me, who else can you help? Okay, the Mother's Day thing was my bad. But this loan, it's serious. We really need it. If you don't help us, this relationship, it's over. I looked at her, calm as ice. My voice was flat. Over? You've got the timeline wrong, Sophie. Our relationship ended when you were 10. From then on, it's been me deluding myself. Me, letting you walk all over my dignity. Don't worry. I won't bother you again. And I hope you never show up at my door again either. And with that, I shut the door in her face. She started pounding on it immediately, screaming, "Open this damn door. I'm your daughter. You can't treat me like this. You'll regret this." I didn't answer. After a few more thuds, she grew tired. Then she shouted, venom dripping from every word. Fine. I'll go to Linda. She'll help me. She gave up having kids for me, remember? Don't come crawling to me when you're old, paralyzed, and need someone to take care of you. Even if you drop dead, I won't claim your body. One final kick slammed against the door. Eric tried to hold her back, but she yanked free. I walked out onto the balcony and watched as they stomped off down the sidewalk. A smirk crept onto my face. Sophie, just wait until you find out. Linda didn't skip having kids for you. And you're in for a hell of a surprise. For nearly 2 weeks I didn't contact her. No calls. No texts. But I knew everything that happened next. My old friends knew just how much I'd done for Sophie. I paid for her wedding, pulled strings to get her jobs, dropped everything to drive medicine to her when she had the flu. To them, Sophie was practically my second skin. So when she walked out that door, the news came back to me quickly. Turns out, the first stop after leaving my house was Richard's place, along with her real mom, Linda. Linda had just received her Mother's Day bracelet. Of course, she greeted them with a glowing smile. But as soon as they stated their purpose, the mood shifted. Linda fell silent, then forced a polite grin. "You're a little late," she said. "We just committed all our cash. Even borrowed from the bank. We're stretched thin. Forget money, we can't even co-sign right now." Sophie, usually so arrogant in front of me, didn't even dare raise her voice. She stared at her shoes and muttered, "I know it's a big ask. I shouldn't have come." After being turned down there, they made their way to Eric's mother, Diana. Diana Moore was no soft touch. Widowed young, raised 2 boys by herself, built a thick skin through hard years. She didn't fake smile like Linda. The moment they walked in, her eyes narrowed. "So that's why you gave me that bracelet," she said, rolling her eyes. "Didn't realize it came with a price tag." He waved a hand, dismissive. "That money's for Jack's house. Don't even try it. Handle your company yourselves." Slam. One door shut. Sophie stood frozen, mouth slightly open as if trying to form a response. "Diana, I swear I'm not trying to take advantage of you," she said. We're really out of options. Yes, Eric's company hit a rough patch, but we'll pay it back. If you could just..." "You didn't hear me the first time?" Diana dropped her water glass onto the table with a loud clack, rattling the coaster underneath. "My money is for Jack. Eric insisted I invest in his little project. Now he's tanked it and expects me to clean it up. If you think that bracelet was a trade, here, have it back." She unclasped it mid-sentence and tossed it onto the table with a thud. "I've been around too long to fall for this. You're not the first and you sure won't be the last. We're done here." Sophie didn't move. Her face had gone completely white. She was still trying to hold a smile at the corners of her mouth, but it wouldn't come. "Are you really not going to help us at all?" Her voice trembled, not from sorrow but from anger she could barely contain. "I treated you like my own mother." Diana let out a sharp laugh. "Your own mother? Honey, I'm not your mother. I'm your mother-in-law. When have you ever really treated me like family? From the beginning it's been about my money. Now you need something, suddenly I'm mom? Isn't that a little late?" Landed like a slap. Sophie froze for a few seconds, then turned and stormed off without even looking back at the bracelet. Eric was waiting by the car. He opened his mouth to ask something, but Sophie climbed in without a word, slamming the door, firing up the engine and peeling out in one seamless motion. Inside, Diana just shook her head. "Do they really think I've lived this long and can still be played by a couple of amateurs?" After the failed money grab, Sophie went silent for 2 weeks. I thought they might finally be backing off. But it wasn't Sophie who came back. It was Eric. That evening, as I was wiping down the kitchen, my phone buzzed with a text. "Grace, could we meet? Just me. Alone." He didn't mention loans, didn't mention Sophie. Just talk. I replied with a single line. "Tomorrow, 2 p.m. Sandy's Cafe." It was a quiet local coffee shop 2 blocks from my house. Perfect for a conversation without theatrics. He arrived early. Dressed in a casual blazer, hair slicked back with gel, every detail carefully arranged. He stood up as I walked in and pulled out my chair. "Grace," he said with a practiced smile, "thank you for meeting me." I didn't return the smile. Cut to the point. "What do you want?" He swallowed. "I know you're disappointed in how we handled things. I'm not here to make excuses. I just wanted to ask if there's still any room for reconsideration." "By reconsideration, do you mean me co-signing your loan, or wiring the money straight into your account?" I asked flatly. He hesitated. I didn't mean it like that." I let out a bitter chuckle. "Didn't mean it? Last time you were in my house, it took you less than 20 minutes to calculate that a $5,000 necklace might land you a 6-figure inheritance. And now you're here talking sentiment." He looked down, silent. I pulled a document from my bag and tossed it on the table. Your company's 2023 audit report. I had a friend pull the data. 2 failed development cycles, breach of contract risk, frozen assets. I knew before you said a word. His expression faltered. If you'd come clean about the business going under, maybe I would have at least considered helping for Sophie's sake. But no. You two teamed up, made me the mark, figured I was easy pickings. You came to me knowing full well why. But did it ever occur to you, I'm not that mother anymore. Not the one who just says yes. He muttered, Grace, I didn't know what else to do. The banks won't lend and Sophie doesn't know the full extent. I had no choice. She doesn't know? I narrowed my eyes. Did you tell her you were coming to me? 2 seconds of silence. Then he shook his head. I nodded, folded the papers. So not only are you lying to me, you're lying to your wife while sneaking around for money. She thinks you're holding it together while you're out here trying to dump the fallout on someone else. If you really cared about her, you'd start by telling her the truth. Eric lifted his head, his tone changing. So that's it? You're just going to let us collapse? You know Sophie has no one else but you. If you don't help us, she'll lose everything. I stared him down. I didn't break her. And I'm not responsible for your recklessness. You chose to play with fire. I'm not the one who has to get burned for it. He opened his mouth again, but no words came. His eyes flicked to the audit report. Then he stood. I get it, Grace. You really are heartless. He walked out fast. Never looked back. I sat there watching his untouched coffee go cold. That night I read the audit report again. Then a third time. Lines in red jumped out at me. On brink of credit default. Core assets frozen. Failed financing rounds. But it wasn't concern that crawled up my spine. It was the realization that for years, I'd been nothing more than a line item on their spreadsheet. Emergency funds. Grace. No approval process needed. The next morning I called my attorney. I need to revise my will, I said plainly. He paused. As it stands, Sophie is listed as the sole beneficiary. Home, retirement accounts, contingency funds. Are you looking to revoke all of it? Yes, I replied. All of it. I want to create an irrevocable trust and remove both her and her husband from any inheritance rights. I understand. We can structure a living trust with a separate account for your personal expenses. What would you like to do with the remaining assets? I thought for a moment. I want to use them myself. And I want to set up a small community fund to support empowerment programs for older women. Excellent. I'll get started right away. When I hung up, I felt something shift. Like freedom was finally within reach, and all it took was a signature. In the following days, I revoked every access Sophie had ever been given. She had been my emergency contact at the bank, the backup on my property insurance. All done for her own good, I used to tell myself. Now I saw it clearly for what it was. A backdoor into my life. I even remembered something from years ago. It was right after she got married. Eric's first startup had tanked. They owed money, fast. Sophie called me frantic. Mom, can you help us with the balance? We're $4,000 short. If we miss the deadline, we default next week. I was in a hospital waiting room with a friend who was getting tests. Didn't ask questions. Just transferred the money. About 2 weeks later, I saw their latest social media post. They were at a vineyard in Napa Valley, posing for a wedding photo shoot in brand new outfits. I didn't say a word. Didn't ask. Didn't get angry. I told myself young people care about appearances. Maybe she didn't realize that $4,000 didn't fall from the sky. But now I know. It wasn't that she didn't realize. It was that I taught her she never had to. I'd always cover for her. That afternoon, I sat in the kitchen and looked at a pencil drawing Sophie made as a child. She and I were holding hands standing on a rainbow. I got up, took it off the fridge and tucked it into a drawer. Not to throw away. Just not to keep lying to myself anymore. This relationship had run its course. I wasn't her item. I wasn't her emotional safety net. I was just an older woman trying to enjoy her retirement in peace. I contacted a realtor and listed my 3-story house. There was a seaside town nearby, quiet, charming. I'd stayed there for a bit and the landlord had once mentioned the cottage might go on the market. So I called, "Is that house still available? I'd like to buy it." The agent said, "Actually yes. We've had an offer, but if you're serious, we can run a quick appraisal." I didn't hesitate. I'll pay in full. Just as my life began settling into its new rhythm, I heard the news. Sophie had finally discovered Linda's little secret. She was already spiraling from the flood of overdue bills popping up on her phone. She'd started digging into Eric's company records, and the deeper she went, the worse it got. The finances were a swamp. Every step sank her further. She knew they couldn't hold out much longer. They needed help. But the last time she asked Linda for money still stung. So this time she changed her approach. No asking. Just a gesture. She decided to pay off Linda's next credit card bill as a surprise. Doesn't cost much, she told herself. Just groceries, cards, some makeup. She pulled out the old billing envelope Linda had casually handed her and logged into the credit card site. Tried Linda's birthday as the password reset. It worked. She opened the statement page, ready to screenshot the payment confirmation and accidentally run into Linda later. But then something caught her eye in the upper corner. Recurring transfers. Recipient: Celia Swan. Amount: $1,000. Frequency: monthly. Sophie stared at the name. Celia Swan? She couldn't recall Linda having any relatives by that name. Scrolling further, she found more. Gift cards. Travel expenses. A purchase from the Tiffany website. The exact price of the bracelet Sophie had bought. Her heart pounded. She jumped out of the car and stormed into Linda's house, skipping the doorbell and unlocking it with the spare key. Linda was in the kitchen making tea. She flinched at the sight. Sophie? What are you doing here? I just paid your next credit card bill, Sophie said, trying to keep her voice calm. Linda blinked, then smiled. You didn't have to do that. Who are you sending money to every month? The air changed. The tea bag still floated in the mug. Linda's face froze. Sophie pressed on. Who is Celia Swan? Linda didn't answer. She gently set down the tea bag. You went through my statements? You know why I did. Sophie's voice wavered, straining to stay level. I wanted to help you because I believed. I really believed you didn't have children because you loved me like your own. I thought I was your family. Linda leaned against the counter. After a long silence, she finally spoke. I never said I didn't have children. Sophie blinked. I have a daughter. In Seattle, Linda continued. She's from my first marriage. We divorced when she was 7. Sophie made a sound, small, stunned. Then why did you tell me you didn't have kids? That it was for me. Linda gave a half smile. Not cruel, just disbelief. You assumed it was a sacrifice. That's on you. I didn't lie. I didn't have more kids. But if you thought that meant something noble, that's your story, not mine. The kitchen was silent except for the low hum of the fridge. Sophie's feet felt like they were on glass. You used the money I gave you, the money Dad transferred to you. You gave it all to her? Linda sipped her tea. She's my daughter. And what about me? Sophie's voice cracked. The gifts I gave you, did you send those to her too? Linda didn't answer that. She simply said, what your father gives me is his choice. What I do with your gifts is mine. Something shattered in Sophie. Not loudly but all at once. Everything she thought was real. The gratitude. The warmth. The mother-daughter bond. Gone. The bracelet. The thank you notes she'd carefully written. All of it, part of a script. She stood there in the doorway, frozen. Then without a word she turned and walked out. Linda didn't follow. The next day, Sophie deleted every photo of Linda from her social media. Cancelled her secondary card. Renamed Mom 2 in her contacts to Linda Swan. She didn't tell anyone. Not even herself. Sophie showed up a week before I moved. No call. No text. Just appeared at the door of my old house, standing beneath the maple tree wearing a deep gray coat. Her hair was loosely tied back, her face bare, no makeup. When I opened the door I barely recognized her. Sophie. I said, my voice as flat as if I were signing for a package. She hesitated, maybe surprised by how light and distant her name sounded coming from me. Mom, she said, her voice tentative. Can I come in for a bit? I looked at her and stepped aside. It's a mess. Let's sit in the dining room. We sat at the old kitchen table. There was a mug of coffee in front of me, steam still curling off the rim. She twisted the edge of her coat between her fingers, like a kid caught cheating on a test. I was out of line. What I said to you before. I didn't answer. Just lifted my cup. She swallowed hard. And about Linda. I didn't know. I only just found out. What she told me, it wasn't what I thought. I gently set the mug back down. So. Her eyes flinched like she hadn't expected me to ask that. I'm not here to blame you. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. She picked at the edge of the table. All these years I thought I understood you. Thought you were petty, selfish, obsessed with money. But now I realize I was the one being used. She looked up at me. Mom, is there any chance we could go back to how things were? I looked into her eyes. There was no hatred there. No pity either. Only clarity. I spoke slowly. You never took the time to understand me. You just compared me to how much Linda doted on you, to how much her bracelets cost, to how agreeable I was or wasn't. I'm not the kind of mom you imagined. I don't sugarcoat. I don't play nice. I just cooked when you were hungry, took you to the doctor when you were sick, and held you when you cried. That's all I had. She bit her lip. Her eyes welled up, but she didn't let a sound escape. I know I've hurt you over the years, she said. And I understand if you don't want to forgive me. I just wanted to try, to see if maybe, just maybe, you could still see me as the girl you once called your daughter. I shook my head. I don't want revenge. And I don't need forgiveness. I just finally understand we were never on the same side to begin with. One apology won't fix that. She sat there frozen. Her tears fell quietly. I'll walk you out, I said. She shook her head. I'll go alone. She stood, walked to the door, and paused with her hand on the knob. Do you not see me as your daughter anymore? I didn't hesitate. We stopped being mother and daughter a long time ago. Now we're debtor and creditor. You just never realized the debt wasn't money, it was decency. Her shoulders jerked slightly. Then she opened the door and walked out. The moment it closed, I let out a deep breath. Like finally dropping a 20-year weight. After she left, I didn't cry. Didn't dwell. I just went back to finishing my packing list. Fitted my things neatly into the new suitcase I'd bought. That night, I sent a confirmation to the realtor. The new house was officially mine. I'd move in next week. I didn't give anyone the address. Didn't leave behind a spare key. Life can go on without family. But not without a way out. And for the first time, I had finally found mine. This year on Mother's Day, I didn't receive any gifts, calls, or texts. No carnations. No little blue box from Tiffany. Not even a simple Happy Mother's Day from Sophie. I sat in the kitchen of my new home, where the morning light slipped through the curtains and fell across the pale yellow tablecloth. The wall clock ticked steadily, tick, 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 like it was trying to remind me, this is a day meant to be celebrated. But I didn't mind. Not anymore. It's been 3 weeks since I moved to this quiet seaside town. The house is small, single-story, 2 bedrooms. Just off the main street but far enough to be peaceful. The beach is a 5-minute walk away. There's a rocking chair I love in the living room, and the kitchen is spotless. Every item here was chosen by me. No one suggested how I should spend my money. No one told me what I needed. And best of all, no one here knows me. I don't have to be anyone's mother anymore. That morning I went to the market like usual. Picked up half a pound of fresh coffee beans, a few wedges of cheese, and a bundle of daisies. I had just gotten home and was setting down my groceries when there was a knock at the door. Mrs. Carter? The mailman asked. I nodded. You've got a handwritten letter. It didn't have a return address. My first instinct was to toss it. But something made me open it. Inside was a single sheet of paper folded neatly in thirds. The handwriting was slightly crooked, definitely not from an adult. Thank you for teaching us to put our own lives first. Every woman at the center said, if she could do it all over again, she'd want to be the kind of mother you are. Not someone who gave everything away, but someone who remembered to keep something for herself. Happy Mother's Day. From the students of the Community Women's Empowerment Program. At first, I didn't remember what it was about. Then it hit me. 2 weeks ago, I had been asked to speak at the local library. It was a last-minute invite. The topic was managing financial independence in later life. Apparently, they turned my talk into a lesson. I stared at the note for a long time. Then I pinned it to the fridge. That afternoon, I took a walk by the water. The beach was alive with families. Kids flying kites. Elderly couples strolling hand in hand. And people like me, alone but not lonely. The breeze was soft. I sat on the bench near the shoreline and watched the seagulls dip and rise in the sky. Somewhere above me a little boy shouted, "Mom, look at me." His voice carried over the wind, light and sweet. I closed my eyes. For once my mind was still. No waiting. No wondering. No hoping. Every Mother's Day before this I had waited. For a call. For a message. For some sign that someone remembered I was loved. But not anymore. Not because I've grown cold. Because I've finally understood. Motherhood doesn't begin the day your child is born. It begins the day you stop betraying yourself for the sake of being needed. That night I made myself dinner. Cleaned the table. Sat back down on the couch. The sea breeze still whistled through the window. Somewhere in the distance the waves rolled in and out like a slow, steady heartbeat. I turned on the radio. Tuned into one of the local senior programs, just in time to catch a single line. "May every Mother's Day truly belong to you." I smiled. And whispered, "This is the first one that ever has."